Well, here we go, right? It's been another week.
Yeah, it definitely has. The Monday and Tuesday, I think, were the internet practically broke itself.
Yeah, Monday was a pretty that definitely broke some shit. That's for sure.
It broke shit, and it created quite the divide. Even a further divide. So
now the question is, are we going to break ground here on the show talking about it? That, my friend, is the real question.
Well, we will see.
I suppose we will. We're going to have to, right?
Yep.
I wanted to whip it out.
Howdy, nerds, geeks, fans alike. Welcome to, holy shit, what episode is this of the 4Nerds show? Because there's only
175.
175. Thank you. Welcome to episode 175 of the 4Nerds show with only two nerds today. I am one host, as you all know. I am captain of the ship today. My name is Phillip, unfiltered, joined by the one and only nerd coaster and host, Mr. Sean. How are you doing, man?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm great.
Good.
Okay, that's kind of a lie. I'm all right. I'm not great. I'm just kind of all right. I'm whelmed.
Hey,
I'm whelmed.
You're still breathing. It's another day, right? Another day above ground. So that's always a good thing.
You got me there, buddy. Yeah, it's another day above ground. It's another week in fandoms.
Another crazy week in the fandom.
Oh God, yeah.
Wow. Which I know we're gonna get into, but man, I don't think I've ever seen. It's like we had the complete divide amongst the entire DC fandom, even further than we had before. So yeah, it's crazy. Monday was
I don't even know where to begin with that. I mean, I honestly, I kind of want to table that because I think everyone we can table that for a little bit later. Because
we can table that for last. Yeah, I'm good with that.
There's some other stuff that definitely happened. I mean, obviously, you saw X-Men 97.
I did.
I saw X-Men 97. I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun talking about that episode because it's now part 2 of the 3-part finale. What is Extinction?
Tolerance is Extinction. Yeah,
Tolerance is Extinction.
That's the name for the 3-part finale. Yep.
Yeah, that was a banger.
Yeah, it absolutely was. Yeah, it's hard to believe we're already coming up on the 10th episode next week. It's hard to believe it's coming to an end on the 15th. But yeah, last night, disappoint. I think many people were surprised on how it ended, and it was such a huge cliffhanger of how it ended. I think people were hoping that we were going to see this. Whether, especially with it being animation, it was probably the best way we were ever going to see this particular scene involving Magneto and Wolverine.
Yeah.
But I was when it was right before it happened, I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought, okay, Wolverine got a 1-up on Magneto. Even before that, I thought Charles took Magneto down, put him in the coma. Magneto's done. That didn't happen, so I was surprised by that. And then Wolverine came up behind him, stabbed him pretty good. I thought, okay, maybe the second time he's going to go down. But then when you see Magneto turn his head around, kind of give Wolverine that look like, yeah, you're fucked.
You fucked up. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then we saw probably one of the most especially if you're a comic book person, probably one of the most well-known events from X-Men comics, from the Fatal Attraction crossover story. Again, I was thrilled to see it in an animated version because we haven't seen it before, but it was an absolute. And then we went right to the credits. What a cliffhanger that put us on. So,
well, before we dive a little deeper into that, let's see who's here in the chat. We got Mr. RJ, Resident Justice. How you doing, Chief? Glad you can make it. We got Venom Hernandez. How you doing?
What up?
Hope all is well. Love that Venom picture. Mr. Austin Leanne, what's up, guys? Hope you're all well. Doing pretty well, all things considered. Where do I put in my application to join as the unofficial 5th nerd, 6th nerd, 7th nerd? How many nerds have there been? Too many.
I know of 6 total, and that's counting me.
Yeah,
I know 6.
I was number 5. You're number 6. So yeah, that I suppose that would make RJ number 7 at that point, you know. We got Hunter Iggy asking, is Nickatina here? No, Andre will not be on the show tonight. He had to work, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. He's out of office.
He's on location.
DC Fandom Divided sounds like another day that ends in Y. Correct you are. Correct you are. Correct you are, RJ. Correct you are. Droga, how you doing, man? What's up, Two Nerds? We are the Two Nerds today. You are correct. Let's see. Venom says, anything James Gunn posted always caused a divide. Isn't that the truth? It's like the guy can swat down a rumor and people are mad he swatted down a rumor, or like he doesn't say anything and people are mad that he doesn't, you know, shoot it down. Dude, James Gunn just can't fucking win. Like,
someone needs to change his password to his social media.
I think that's a possibility.
That needs to happen.
Could be true. We got Andrew Haley. How you doing, Chief?
What's
up? I like that Luke Skywalker picture right there. Matter of fact, we're going to touch on Star Wars just a little bit. I'd just like to point out I watched the entire sequel trilogy after watching The Phantom Menace the other day, but I'll get into that more later. But I do like that picture. I'm a big proponent of green lightsaber Luke Skywalker. I dig that shit. Been on a set filming a movie with Vince Vaughn and Al Pacino all week, so I've missed a lot. Oh, look at you, Mr. Cool Guy.
What's up? Damn.
That's cool. That's cool. Look at you. Let's see. Caught up with X-Men this morning. It had me in tears. Okay. I don't know to what extent all of X-Men you've watched, but if you know, if you're referring to X-Men 97, yeah, there's a couple points that will make you cry. Especially one moment involving Gambit.
Yeah, that was a heartbreaker.
That was definitely a heartbreaker. We got the Movie Raider. Damn, Austin, you network your way up to the top. I suppose so. Got Droga saying X-Men 97 is amazing. We need more Marvel stuff like this. I think Kevin Feige kind of got that hint.
Let's hope they got the hint. Let's hope, and we can we can definitely cover that as well when we get to
okay. Then I'm assuming you saw that little quote that's been floating around like
I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
It's funny, more or less. Yeah, doing a movie with them, shooting for the next 2 more weeks, hopefully doing a lot of background acting and stuff. Well, that's neat. Good for you, man.
Congrats. Yeah, that's awesome. Congrats.
Cortez Huntley here. Ahoy. Howdy. Let's see, are you even allowed to talk about that? Well, if he didn't sign an NDA, I suppose he can talk about it as freely as he wants. But I guess that's up to Austin if he wants to divulge any details and potentially risk his there. Pretty much all I can say, but you can easily IMDb the movie and find out more. Well, that's neat. Even if he doesn't post on social media, he will get blasted. He's just the face that can be the direction of their anger and disappointment. Correct you are.
Yep.
4Nerds break news. Disney Warner Brothers streaming service 91. I call bullshit on that.
Well, Variety is the one that broke that. Variety is the one reporting that they're going to join. So I'll find the article if you want to keep going.
Wait, that's for real. I thought Hunter was kidding.
No, that's legit. I'll have it right here. Disney and Warner Brothers will team up to start a new streaming bundle that includes Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max, arriving this summer in the US. We can definiteven cover that. Our thoughts on that topic as well.
That I think that kind of deserves a bit of a
discussion.
Not even a discussion. Where the fuck, dude? They really need to name these drops better. Because what the shit? Holy fuck! There it is.
Yeah, they haven't put out a price point for it yet, but the response to this news is we're pretty much going back to the days of cable, pretty much. I mean, everyone's going to keep combining and working together as one service.
Yeah,
how is that any different than cable?
Yeah, I've got it.
It doesn't say whether or not, which I would imagine they'll keep it separate. Where if you just want Max, you can just have Max, or if you just want Disney and Hulu, you can just have Disney. Yeah, this is it right here.
Wow.
But yeah, this just came out not too probably like an hour or two ago, maybe if that.
3 o'clock. Yeah, about almost 2 hours ago. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was at the gym then, or no, I was actually just getting ready to get to the gym when this news broke. So I literally went to the gym, I went to the grocery store, and then I came home and ate and got ready for the show. So I haven't even seen anything like this. So let's just break this down. Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery, ordinarily rivals for consumers' time and money, are teaming up for a triple play bundle of Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max. Okay. The company's announced a new streaming bundle comprised of Disney Plus, Hulu, and Max will be available this summer in the US. There's no pricing info, specific launch date at this point. Disney and WBD said the bundle will be available for purchase on any of the 3 streaming platforms' websites and offered as both an ad-supported and ad-free plan. Go figure.
Yeah. Yep.
The apps and content from each company will remain separate. Disney recently integrated Hulu content into Disney Plus for customers who have both services. This is true. I've been watching The Bear and a bunch of other Hulu stuff on Disney Plus. Note that Hulu already has agreements to sell add-on subscriptions for Max and Paramount Global's Paramount Plus with Showtime. The trio of streaming services will offer the best value in entertainment and unprecedented selection of content from the biggest and most beloved brands in entertainment, including ABC, CNN, DC, Discovery, Disney, Food Network, FX, HBO, HGTV, Hulu, Marvel, Pixar, Searchlight, Warner Brothers, and many, many more. The companies said Wednesday. Disney and WBD have also joined forces along with Fox Corp to launch a streaming sports bundle, which is slated to debut this fall. Okay. That, I think, is more than likely why they probably did this.
The sports bundle.
Exactly. It's the sports. It has shit fuck all to do with anything else. It's more than likely the sports.
Yeah. Because I know on HBO Max, like right now, they have the BR sports section where you can watch like right now they have certain NBA playoff games and the NHL games as well. But right. I mean, obviously, since you're not just seeing this, when I saw this come out a couple hours ago, obviously you got the trolls, the rumor mills out there that's saying, oh, this is the perfect opportunity for a crossover for Marvel. Yeah, it's just, guys, that is not. No. I'm reading these posts. I'm thinking to myself, that's not at all. One, that's not what the article is even saying. There's nowhere in this article or any other publication talking about this mentions anything like that of a DC Marvel crossover or event, anything like that. But it's like, guys, come on, that's not at all what this is talking about. Why are we even trying to dig that deep into this?
Be a little more realistic with what you want, right?
Exactly.
Says, as streaming has fueled the steady erosion of the pay TV industry, the moves by otherwise competing media companies to partner up on streaming bundles looks like an attempt to reconstitute cable TV. Yes, but both Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery have touted the benefits of bundles by boosting engagement and lowering churn, i.e. cancellation rates. Ha! Okay. The perks for consumers is typically a discounted price compared with paying for individual services separately. Look, if you're going to offer me low end here, $20. Say, and I'm not even saying that this is the exact number. Say $20 for all 3. That might be a steal, but even then, on their own, Hulu's already what, $9.99 a month for an ad plan, something like that.
Yep.
Disney Plus is $13.99 with no ads. Max is still, I believe, $14.99 unless it went up too.
It's gonna. They on its own, it is going up again. I think either later this year or early next year. On its own, they are raising the price for it on its own. Yeah.
And at that point, if you're going to offer those 3 services, Hulu, Disney Plus, and Max, I can't see it being any less than $30.
And that's assuming that's with ads. And
right.
So you'll probably spend 40 to 45, maybe, possibly even 50, depending upon what the contract details shake out to be.
Right.
To have no ads. And I can say for myself, I hate ads. I noticed Amazon Prime a while back. I was in the middle of watching the Deadwood movie from that. Probably 30 minutes into it, and all of a sudden an ad pops up. And that's the last thing I want to see in the middle of a movie is a 30-second, 45-second.
Definitely. Yeah.
About Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I
think the sports thing it could be a big driver for this, but ultimately I'm a little surprised that WB is willing to jump in with Disney on something like this. They were very, very adamant about the whole HBO Max, now Max. Then they did the merger with Discover to get more content over there, probably try to boost subscribers. I don't think that's necessarily worked out for them because, really from a Discovery perspective, the content, have
you seen their stock?
Yeah. there's very little, for me, there's very little content from them. So, and honestly, for HBO Max, I think it's probably one of the least streaming services I even go into anymore.
Let's see. I cut out Max. I get Disney Plus through the phone, and I get Peacock through the internet, And then the only one I actually pay for is Paramount Plus. I don't have Amazon. I don't have Netflix. I don't have Max. I don't have any of that. Like, I don't pay for any of that. I've got a friend of mine hooked me up with a website where I can watch pretty much whatever I want for free. And it's not illegal by that token either. It's actually very legitimate in other parts of the world.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of lucked out there, but still, like, the only one I actually legitimately pay for is Paramount Plus, and that's because it's $6.99 a month.
Yeah, theirs is pretty cheap. And well, even theirs, I mean, with the whole Paramount, well, there hasn't been much talk about it recently, but earlier this year, I mean, we had the news about Paramount and the W and WBD merging, or the whole buyout thing. And there was speculation even then, would there be one streaming service, you know, shutting down over the other and then merging that content, right? So this kind of maybe throws in a wrench into whatever those plans could have been or would have been if this merger is now happening. Does that impact that deal, or is there still a possibility that deal goes through, right?
I thought I read somewhere that fell through a long while ago.
Yeah, I mean, again, I remember we haven't. I mean, it hasn't been really a topic since, like I said, January, February. It's been a minute since that there's been any news about that. But you know, how many times though people walk away from the table and then they come right back saying, "Hey, well, we'll offer, instead of the $20 per share, we're going to offer you $35 per share, and we'll give you full cash just to get you out of competition." Right?
So, I don't know. It just seems like a repeat of cable all over again, where you're just kind of edging closer to a non-cable situation.
And the crazy thing is, I mean, if you think about, hey, we had commercials, now you have that, now they're just calling them advertisement ads, right? So it's the exact same thing. We're just labeling it something different.
What was a joke called 20 years ago was a joke. Now it's more often referred to as a meme. What people often refer to memes as the humor plate these days, right? Like, I think the two most popular memes I've seen in the last week are the one with Foghorn Leghorn just shouting, I tell you, over whatever the fuck, right? And then you've also got, you know, the whole the women choosing bears over men. That's the one I've seen a lot running around too.
Yeah, I've seen that. The second one, I've seen that a lot lately.
Bear memes are fucking rampant, and I am here for them. I actually laugh my ass off at a few bear memes. Yeah, like there's actually one of Anakin Skywalker saying, "You turned her against me," and it's like a grizzly bear saying, "You did that to yourself." It's just some goofy shit like that. I don't know. That shit just makes me laugh. Definitely.
So just so while we're on this topic, just to respond to one of the comments. So Cortez says, I did see that Paramount did, like, as they would call it, officially went back to the table with Sony, and there's another group involved with Sony, Apollo something, that's involved with Sony for the two of them to buy out Paramount. I think they originally gave them an offer. It was turned down. Then they came back with an even bigger one. I think it came out to like $26 billion in cash that they were offering. There was another company, a private equity firm, that wanted to buy Paramount, and one of the executives that's kind of leading the committee for this purchase doesn't want to do business with them and has previously turned down other offers from them. So the likeliness of that panning out doesn't seem likely. So if this is going to happen, it's going to be Sony and that Apollo management group. But it just seems like so many mergers are happening lately. I'm surprised the FCC hasn't stepped in and said, anti-competition here. We can't just have like two studios running everything. Yeah.
I guess the only benefit from that would be, we can finally watch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Spider-Man crossover, right?
Yeah, I mean, look what's come from just this news, right? That we got people out there talking DC Marvel crossover, and again, just because you have two companies merging their streaming platforms doesn't mean they're going to start doing things like that. No. I mean, my God, Marvel's having a hard enough time getting TV shows and movies right.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned that, because Marvel, I saw recently, Bob Iger announced recently at an earnings call that Marvel Studios' new output plan is at max 3 movies a year and 2 TV shows a year, which doesn't shock me at one bit.
It doesn't shock me, and it will probably do them best to scale back. I think that's how, in my opinion, that's kind of how they started, right? When we were starting to get, like, we got the first Iron Man movie, the first Captain, it didn't feel like we were getting movies or TV shows every 5 minutes. But once they saw the money bags and, you know, the ching happening at the cash register, it's like they all of a sudden said, well, let's just start pumping out content because look how much money we're making. And not only through the content, but through toys, through merchandise, through whatever, you had people out there buying it up. And don't get me wrong, I think it did something great for the comic book industry itself. It kind of revitalized the comic book industry.
Definitely.
Not saying it was dead, but it definitely brought a lot of people back to comic books. Unfortunately, now we're just getting a lot of really bad stories.
I think there's that. The pandemic also altered how people go to and you know, intake movies and television as a whole too, because that just accelerated streaming by at least a decade. You're right though. I do know that, or rather, I remember, you know, Marvel starting off with at least 2, if not 1 movie a year, at least through their first phase. You know, they did, you know, Iron Man and Hulk, and then they did Iron Man 2, and then they did, you know, Captain America and Thor, and then they did the Avengers. And then came Iron Man 3 and Thor: The Dark World. After that was Captain America and Guardians of the Galaxy. Then after that, Avengers and Ant-Man, respectively. And then the year after that, I believe, was Age of Ultron and Ant-Man is what I meant to say. After that was Captain America and Doctor Strange. And then 2017 was the year they finally did 3 movies because they finally got acquired. They acquired Spider-Man. So they wound up with Spider-Man, Thor. There was one other movie in 2017. What the fuck was it?
Let me see.
Oh shit, I'm like brain farting right now. Guardians 2.
Yeah.
Guardians Volume 2.
Yeah.
Because it was Guardians Volume 2 in May, Spider-Man in July, and then Thor Ragnarok in November.
Yep. And then that was it for 2017. Yeah.
Yep. And then they did Infinity War, or rather Black Panther, Infinity War, and then Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Correct. Yeah.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
And that was it for 2018. They only did those 3 in 2018.
And then in 19, they did Captain Marvel, Endgame, and Spider-Man Far From Home.
Yep.
And then after that is when things went into fucking overdrive.
Yeah. In 2021, we had 4 movies in 2021.
And 3 TV shows.
Yeah.
Right. Which is, you know, at the time, after a year and a half long hiatus, that was cool, right? Like we were brought back into the MCU, right? Like we had WandaVision that opened things back up.
Yep.
We're like, okay, what the fuck is Phase 4 going to be about, right? And then, you know, you get into Captain America, Falcon and Winter Soldier, right? You get into that. And then after that, I believe, was Loki and then Black Widow, because they came out about a month apart from each other. Or no, they did. Yeah. Because Loki was June, Black Widow was July.
July, correct. Black Widow was July. And then we had Shang-Chi come out in September. So there was a little bit of a gap there as far as movies. But then we went then they took another dip with Eternals, because Eternals really didn't pan out for that.
And then even they also had Hawkeye.
Yep.
That winter. And then Spider-Man No Way Home in December.
Yeah. And then that wrapped up 2021 we're talking about. Yeah, so that wrapped up 2021.
Joker's right. What If and Hawkeye debuted that same winter season. I remember What If coming out that season, that winter season too. Yeah, they definitely went into overtime, and I think that is mostly due to Bob Chapek's tenure as the CEO at the time. He was like, content. People are sitting at home, they want content. And they even experimented too. Like they tried doing like a day and date thing with Black Widow, but you had to pay a premium price of $30, and that was a fucking big blow up in their face too.
Yeah.
Scarlett Johansson took Disney to court and was like, yeah, no, this is not in my fucking contract. This is bullshit, et cetera, et cetera. So
yeah. And just like with, I think what they have found, the problems that they're having with Star Wars previously is, okay, so before I jump into so with Star Wars, it seems like, in my opinion, we're still stuck, or they are still stuck in the Skywalker era. That at some point you need to move on from. Now, I'm not talking like the TV shows. I'm talking like the films.
Sure.
I mean, we've had a few films, obviously, where, you know, the Skywalker story wasn't the focal point. I mean, we had Solo, Rogue One. We're supposed to get, you know, the Patty Jenkins, you know, at some point she came back to do her film. But the big feature films have been Skywalker driven, and they can't, and either they can't seem to get away from it, or the fans won't allow them to get away from it if they wanted to. Now to wrap that back to Marvel, with Marvel's problem is that we have all these characters, but we don't know exactly who should be having a movie. So we're just gonna put all our characters' names in a hat. We're gonna put our hand in. We're gonna pick up one out. Okay, you get a movie, and you get a TV show. And there's no rhyme or reason to some of the stuff that we've gotten. I mean, looking back on it, did it make sense to really have a Black Widow film? I mean, when you look back at of all the films that came before it, did it make sense for her to have her own independent film, standalone film, I should say?
I think it would have made more sense for her to have her own movie prior to Phase 4. I think Phase 4 was just a little too late. Yeah. I will say that with the caveat of I enjoyed Black Widow, but I also did not enjoy Black Widow in that I think it has some really great action in it, but I think the humor in it is like borderline mediocre, if not flat terrible. Like it's just not good at all. Some of the effects are also a little dodgy too, even some of the action sequence, not the action sequences per se, but like, you know, some of the ancillary explosions and things like that. There's one shot specifically with like Florence Pugh that just looks completely unfinished, and it's just not good.
And that play, and I think with that and a combination of bad storytelling or bad story, they were in a period of, again, you had Phase 1 and Phase 2, everyone was loving it, and then again we talked about this I think last week, where you've used up all your so, and in the comics they were considered B type characters, but when you brought them to life in feature film, they became A level characters. Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, teaming up, Avengers. Great, we got to finally see this. And again, I'm excluding the 1970s movie and the 1970s versions of these characters we saw from a live action perspective,
right? And especially on TV too, because they were direct to TV films, more or less.
Yeah, so I'm not even considering those as part of the discussion, but. Yeah, I mean, they used up a lot of the characters everyone knew, and now we got characters that nobody knows. Your general audience doesn't know these people, and you want them then to care about these characters and invest in them, but they don't know them, and you didn't give them enough to get to know them.
I think that's a problem in that, you know, they've set up a lot of characters, but then they've done almost nothing with them after introducing them, right? Yep. Like, when was the last time we saw Shang-Chi? It's been 3 years this September since we've seen Shang-Chi. Granted, Simu Liu got a foot injury, so that, you know, kind of tables him and his character for the foreseeable future. At least that happened a while ago, but even still, like, foot injuries take a bit of time to heal from. So him not being present, I can kind of understand. But, you know, you've got Oscar Isaac, an Academy Award nominated fucking actor, right? At least I think he is. I could be totally wrong about that.
He is,
yeah. But, you know, you've got him playing Moon Knight, one of the most versatile and interesting characters in your catalog at the moment. Like, you know, when that show happened, people were like, I was working at a comic book store, or what was I? I might have been.
I think you were still, yeah.
I was either not working at a store or I was working at a store. Either way, like, the Moon Knight character was gaining some serious popularity, and people were buying Moon Knight comics. Like, and he was even being written by a high-profile Marvel writer, Jed McKay, at that point. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there was valid interest in that character. And again, you have a fucking great actor like Oscar Isaac playing the character in the MCU of all things, and it's like, where's he been? What's he up to? What's the deal with him? Like, where will he pop up next?
And that's one of the biggest wastes of talent from a Marvel TV show, in my opinion, that they failed on. Again, you have an actor like that, you have a character like that, you used it for one season, and you have literally not mentioned it, brought it up, no potential stories or involvement down the line, nothing. And the whole whole Blade thing doesn't. Wow, I don't even know. I wouldn't even know where to begin with that discussion, because it seems like every time we get good news or potential good news about Blade, literally within 24 hours, it's already scrapped and pushed out, or scrapped and sorry, the script is being redone again.
With Blade, it's one step forward, 4 steps back almost every single time.
And the last I heard was probably a week and a half ago that there was, I don't know if it was obviously it was probably just a rumor, that they were looking to bring Wesley Snipes back in some capacity as the character, reintroducing him potentially, which there's been zero reports of this from anybody, into the Deadpool Wolverine, that somehow he will pop. I had the same look on my face when I heard this, that he will somehow pop up in that film. And I said, I would be shocked, because the relationship that Ryan Reynolds and Wesley Snipes had in Blade Trinity was so toxic. Ryan even said then he would refuse to work with him again.
Yeah,
and if Ryan's calling the shot, has been calling the shots for Deadpool since Deadpool 1, and he's been definitely calling the shots for Deadpool Wolverine, because there's been multiple cameos that he said absolutely not. They're not coming into this movie. I would never imagine him bringing Wesley Snipes in as that version of Blade just for a cameo, or for whatever reason, right?
And looking at the other side of the coin, like, would Wesley Snipes even be open to that, especially after what happened on Blade Trinity? I don't think so. I think that's all bullshit. Honestly, that smells like bullshit to me.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because then again, would we even want to even see that version of Blade again? I'm not interested in it. I'm interested in wanting to see this new version we keep hearing about, but we don't seem to be getting it.
Yeah, I would much rather see the likes of Mahershala Ali, Oscar Isaac, Benedict Cumberbatch, and maybe even Jackman's Wolverine in a future Midnight Suns installment somewhere.
That would be,
that'd be dope as fuck. And maybe introduce a Ghost Rider along the way too. Maybe introduce him in that movie, or whatever you want to call it, whatever it turns into, a TV show, whatever. Like, I don't know. And I also think that not having an Avengers movie, or even just a team up movie in general, to tie up Phase 4, that really hurt them going into Phase 5. Like,
it did,
because Phase 4 ended with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and people, they showed up for Black Panther, they showed up for Thor: Love and Thunder, God bless their souls, they showed up for Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness was the last biggest hit they've had that wasn't Spider-Man. Like, the biggest hit.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you look at Phase 5 and what they've done with it so far. You have Ant-Man, Quantumania, right?
And then you had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 right after that.
It was, successful,
but was it good? I mean, thinking about the first 2 installments, or even that lineup of the characters that showed up for Volume 3, I mean, was it really necessary?
I think it was a good movie. I think the reason people showed up was because they wanted to see how that team disbanded,
how their story wraps up.
Right. Yep. And obviously, that was going to be the last time James Gunn did anything Marvel related at all, because by that point he's now head of DC Studios with Peter Safran, right? Yep. So I think ultimately that is a bit of a more special case, like Spider-Man in a certain respect, right? Yeah. And then you get to the Marvels, and it's like, whoa, right? Like, whoa. Like, holy shit, your sequel to $1 billion film flops harder than your last biggest flop in the universe, i.e. The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah, the Marvels was everything about the Marvels, from the teasers to the trailers to the actual trailers. There was nothing good coming from that. They could have just pulled a Batgirl and taken a tax write-off. No one cared. But no one cared. No one cared at that point about those characters, even the ones being introduced, but no one even cared about Miss Marvel. I mean, no one cared. That's not what they wanted to see. That's not what they were interested in.
And that's honestly, that's the sadder part, because that's the one instance in which they had a character from a TV show go forward into another project.
Yep. I hear you, man. I hear you. And the only thing, and now we've been waiting, and that was that was late 2023 that came out. So and there hasn't been anything yet. So we won't get anything. Which the next one is the Deadpool Wolverine. So
right.
what,
Well, Echo was in January, and they dropped all that all at once.
Well, I mean, feature film wise,
right?
But
right.
TV show, yeah, absolutely.
Which I think Echo was a step in the right direction. I don't know that a lot of people watched it, but I think it had to your point, a solid story to it.
I agree, but the problem I have is that you're in phase 5.
Mm-hmm.
Using what you just said, a step in the right direction. You're in phase 5. You shouldn't have to be trying to take steps in the right direction. You should already be down that path in the right direction. You should have been able to build. You had 4 phases to get this, to build, get it right, dial it in. And you're in you're at the end of phase 4, going into phase 5, and you're having failure after failure after failure. Not everything, but some of the core things that they were counting on to be successful and to bring the audience kind of back to the table,
outright just fell flat on the face.
Absolutely. Up. And now what are they banking on as far as from a feature film perspective? You had November was the last one, which we just talked about. Now, 6-7 months has now passed or will pass by the time Deadpool Wolverine, and they're banking on this to be. I'm not going to say this is going to save the MCU. I'm not going to say that.
Because it doesn't need saving. It just needs a little bit of correction.
Or it needs some adrenaline pumped into it or something to jumpstart it back up again to again get the crowd interested in the stories. But I think you have a large group of Deadpool fans, Hugh Jackman Wolverine fans, and finally we're going to see these two together in a film, and it's not a cameo by Hugh Jackman. He's actually going to be in the film playing a pivotal role, and I think that's what has many people excited about the film.
I agree. I think this will be the jump start that I think they desperately kind of need at this point. And it very well could be the right kind of stepping stone they need to Secret Wars nonetheless, too.
Correct. And now the only problem now is after Deadpool Wolverine, they don't, to my knowledge, from a feature film, they don't have anything because
only one
Captain America Brave New World got pushed, and that's not coming out till what, February or March of next year. So that's a big gap.
So here's what I think.
I've
probably said it before too. Next year is going to be Captain America, the Fantastic Four, the Thunderbolts. There's no fucking way Blade comes out next year.
Yeah. Oh no, Blade. Yeah, they pushed. Last report I saw, they pushed Blade back to like October, November, somewhere around
November 3rd.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, wow. Yeah, I would be shocked if that even stands true. So,
and then here's another wrench into that cog, right? What happens when Sony finally decides to settle on a story for a fourth Spider-Man movie?
Yeah, where are you going to put that in there?
Where do you put that? Not only where do you put that, do you do it before or after Avengers 5?
I would think you'd want to do it before.
You would think, right?
I would think, yeah. I would. That would be my preference too, is to do it before that, because you would almost be. It would be a way of kind of setting that up. But, yeah. I mean, they don't even have that. I mean, there's no script. There's probably not even paper and pencil out yet for that script.
So Tom Holland recently had an interview, and he was talking about how he's now more actively involved. I'd imagine probably in some kind of like Robert Downey Jr., Ryan Reynolds-esque type of role now, where he's an executive producer and gets some kind of say on where the story direction is going to go. That to me feels like, he said they want to tell a great story and do it right, and something that doesn't tread on the heels of No Way Home, which makes sense. Yeah. But I also think it leads a little bit of credence to Sony wants to do one story, Marvel Studios wants to do another story, and they cannot
they can't play well in the same sandbox together. They both want to have their say, and they both want to push their story through. And obviously, because if it's successful, they'll be the ones to say, hey, if Sony pushes a story through and it's successful, hey, we get the credit. It was our idea. And then, vice versa. If Marvel does, hey, it was our idea. No, hey, no. The
shitty thing is like Marvel Studios has made the fucking last 3 movies, and Sony has taken the majority profit from it.
Yep. Yeah, because of how the rights are set up for the character. Yeah,
right. And it's like, look, your hubris is this is gonna be after Far From Home all over again if they do not fucking figure it out. Like someone's gonna walk the fuck away and be like, we're not gonna do Spider-Man anymore. We're just gonna make our own Spider-Man movies again. It's like, you guys have done this twice now, and you've failed after movie 3 and movie 2 respectively. So go ahead and do it again and see how well that really lands for you.
Well, and I don't think that's off the table. I don't think that's off the table of potentially happening, especially they have no script, no attempt at a script. Nothing's been drafted. No director, nothing. The only thing you know is who is Spider-Man. And then you have the question of, well, what about Toby? What about Andrew? What about we saw them come back. Do we do something with them again? And does Marvel be like, well, we don't want to do anything with them. We want to keep, going.
We want to save them for Secret Wars.
Exactly. And Sony may say, well, we don't want to do that. We want to do a Spider-Man 4 now. And I mean, at some point, as you've said, someone's gonna be like, fuck it. I'm taking my ball and going home. We're not giving you the rights anymore. You can,
or someone's gonna cave and let Marvel Studios make the fucking movie. Like, they've proven, at least with Spider-Man, they've proven that whatever they do with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, people will go fucking watch it no matter what.
And it like I mentioned earlier, it's a big money maker. The character itself is a money maker for them all around. Movies, merchandise, what have you. I mean, people will go see Spider-Man.
There is a part of me that also thinks that they're waiting until Beyond the Spider-Verse is done and over before they move forward with another live action Spider-Man movie.
Well, that just adds to the timetable.
Right.
I mean, that's all that's going to do. And then they put themselves in the position of happening potentially after Avengers 5 or even after Secret Wars. I mean,
which I don't see that being a thing. I don't.
I hear you, but I mean, if you put that into the equation and then you put two different sides of the table of executives in the equation, not wanting to align on story, direction, who's going to take the lead. I mean, hey man, we're already in mid 2024.
Yep.
I mean, time goes like that. I mean,
I would be shocked. I'd be shocked if Beyond the Spider-Verse came out sometime next year. I don't see it happening.
I don't either.
I'm guessing sometime in 2026 for Beyond the Spider-Verse. That's my guess.
Okay, so if we roll with that, and they currently have Avengers 5 scheduled for
2026,
summertime, May, June, somewhere around there.
May, yeah.
So the early part of summer. I mean, so it won't be done. Won't be ready for that.
And the rumor is Captain America Brave New World is allegedly going to potentially set up the new band of Avengers because, Anthony Mackie's Captain America will be Captain America, and he, will probably need a team at that point.
And that film has had its own set of fortunate issues, whether
then there's that. And then you get into, Avengers 5 was supposed to be Kang Dynasty, and now it's who the fuck knows what
it's going to be.
Right.
And if they were going to recast that, you would think they would have done it by now to start, to your point, getting the fans to understand what approach they're going to take for Avengers 5.
Yeah.
Right. So, and obviously, that whole situation. I mean, rightfully so. He was fired. I mean, hey, actions have consequences.
Right. Yeah.
It is what it is. So,
but I think dialing back their output to at least 3 movies and 2 TV shows a year. Good call.
I'm all for it. Again, hopefully, like we mentioned earlier, when this whole thing started years ago, it rights the ship and it gets them to focus up more on great storytelling versus just churning out content that eventually goes nowhere or people just don't care about after, especially for TV shows, after 2 or 3 episodes. I mean, many people aren't going to invest in like a 10 episode season if the first 1 to 3 episodes suck. They're going to be like, well, I'm not interested in this. I can't stay interested. I'm just going to watch something else.
Let's see. Lane says, I think Anthony Mackie is the weakest thing in Captain America. The movie will not be a draw and won't put butts in seats. That's a fair perspective to have, I suppose. I mean, his TV show was pretty well received, but will his film be as well received? Will people sign up and go see a brand new Captain America movie without Steve Rogers in it? That begs the question.
Yeah, I think the only way this movie will be a success is they're going to have to market the shit out of this movie. I mean, they're gonna have to put a lot of money behind marketing. He's gonna have to be out there, interview after interview, really pushing this
Don't
film.
be shocked to see when that first trailer for that movie is attached to Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh no, I would 100% expect that we would see something.
Well, yeah. And in the event Marvel Studios goes to San Diego Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con is the weekend Deadpool 3
is coming out.
Yeah. Right. So what are they going to do? You know what I mean? Like, and that's under the assumption they even go to San Diego Comic-Con this year.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the last couple of years, a lot of studios
skipped
it completely.
RJ asked, do you believe the rumor that Kevin Feige has met with The Rock and would like him to play Apocalypse down the road? Absolutely fucking not.
Yeah, that I don't believe that rumor, and I think that I would be surprised if Kevin Feige would even want to cast him in that role especially after the whole Black Adam situation.
I think it would have more to do with that than the current controversy that's going on around The Rock.
Yeah,
I think specifically due to The Rock's lackluster Black Adam performance. By performance, I mean the movie itself, not his performance in the film. I think that there's that. I think the fact that he's heavily into wrestling, he's got a lot of, he's got Moana 2 happening. He's got, he's back in Fast and the Furious apparently. So I don't think he would be a prime candidate that Kevin Feige would probably look at to play Apocalypse at all, especially considering that Apocalypse has like Egyptian character ties, and we just watched Dwayne Johnson try and play an Egyptian character, and it did not bode well. So I don't see that happening at all.
Yeah, I mean, and with Black Adam, I remember, on this show, when the crew was, when those trailers first came out. I mean, Black Adam looked epic.
Yeah,
I mean, it looked like, man, this is going to do really well. Unfortunately, the trailers, I think, fooled a lot of people as far as what this movie was going to be about and how the story was going to play out. And then once everyone started seeing it, it was like, wow, this is a huge disappointment.
It's sad.
And then the fallout of what we have come to find out of what was happening behind the scenes with Rock, with Henry, with the executives, that didn't help matters either as far as The Rock's ability to then come back into a role like Apocalypse. I would be surprised if they casted him, which I don't see happening.
I don't see Apocalypse being an antagonist for an X-Men film anytime soon, considering X-Men Apocalypse happened 8 years ago.
Yeah. I think the only way we're going to see Apocalypse again, which we'll talk about in more detail later when we talk about X-Men 97, is in X-Men 97 as far as the next season. But we can jump into that when we do. But to your point, I don't see live action happening anytime soon for him.
No, I don't either. I don't think that's a reality at all. No. I think Dwayne Johnson is probably like, he had his shot with Black Adam and he's like, yeah, I'm done. I don't want to do superhero anything at all. Like I'm good.
I think it's probably a mutual thing. He doesn't want to do it, and probably studio executives don't want to put their faith and money behind him again after what happened with Black Adam, and now what's coming out again. But he tried to bring in his guy to take over DC, and then Henry got screwed because of what Rock did. And I mean, no one, as fans, we didn't like seeing what happened to Henry even before we even knew any of that information. And I think the last thing we want to do is see something potentially happen to anyone on the Marvel side that we all enjoy in a role, and you bring someone like The Rock in who could,
potentially devastate that.
Fashion,
Yep. Right. I mean, I like Black Adam more than the Shazam movies, but that's not saying much,
Yeah, it's not. I mean, Shazam 1 was good from the respect of it was introducing a character many people didn't even know about in general. Part 2, it was, to me, it was like, is this really what we needed for a sequel? It didn't make any sense to me. And then when Black Adam came out, there was that small hope. Oh, could we see when Henry was brought in for that little scene? Could we have potentially had a Black Adam, Superman, Shazam, in one film, right? I think that was probably a hope for a lot of people, along with potentially a Man of Steel 2, but we saw how that played out.
Right. Yeah. It's tough. It's a real tough situation. That whole debacle was just one unfortunate event after the next, and I just don't see Kevin Feige looking at Dwayne Johnson being like, "Yeah, you're my Apocalypse." Ain't no way.
No,
Ain't no way,
because
no how.
I mean, he's not going to risk his job, knowing the facts and knowing what the public knows. I mean, why would he? I mean, at the end of the day, these executives are going to look out for themselves, their bonuses, and their paycheck, and they're not going to screw that up and put their money behind something or somebody who, caused this type of riff in DC. So,
yeah, and I think to your point, I guess we can kind of jump into it. I think the only time we'll see Apocalypse show up is in X-Men 97. Yep. And will he show up in the last episode? I don't think so, but I do think that there's a possibility he could show up in a second season or a third season, depending on how much longer they want this show to go on.
Agreed. Yeah. So yeah, if we can, I'll just give my thoughts on the episode from the beginning of it. I thought it was a great episode. It definitely, for me, it felt like it didn't dip in quality because again, this is a 3-part finale. So part 1 would have been episode 8. We got part 2 last night, and we'll get the final next week. So for me, it was a nice transition from part 1. It didn't feel like it dipped in quality or story. It felt like it was keeping the momentum for a finale to then bring you into like this big dramatic final episode, part 3 of the finale. We're going to throw everything on the table. We're going to take all these risks. And they took a lot of risk in this episode. Yeah. I mean, we saw some of the things that stood out to me in this. I mean, we finally saw Forge come back into the fold and fighting along with the X-Men with in the typical X-Men suit, the blue and yellow at the beginning, when they kind of split off into teams, the blue team and the gold team. Right. To one team was to go fight Magneto. The other team was to go fight Sinister and Bastion, along with the Sentinel army that Bastion was still controlling, was still able to control with his powers, even though Magneto, used his earlier in the episode with his EMP powers and just, wiped out the entire planet. Right. So I mean, we got to see a little bit more of Charles in this episode. It wasn't a lot, but his big piece was at the end, which I was happy to see. It kind of felt like he was faced with a moral dilemma, and we actually got to see him kind of toss that to the side, his morals to the side, that I'm going to have to make a decision. My best friend Magneto, this is what I'm going to have to do. I don't have a choice at this point because of his actions.
I think Charles rightfully getting ripped on by everyone for leaving was justified. I think,
absolutely. Yeah.
I think everyone kind of tearing into him was worth it, but also he took it in stride.
Yeah.
No pun intended, because he can't walk, obviously, but like, he came back to help his children, his family, and they rightfully scorned him for it. Like, even the conversation with Scott at the beginning of the episode was like, you left this to Magneto, and look what happened.
Yeah, but I don't think, based on Charles' response in that conversation, it didn't seem like he expected him or Jean to even be there.
Nope.
He had expected them that, when Magneto shows up, you two are gonna peace out, go live your lives like I had intended you to, and like you had wanted to. But I think we knowing the Scott Summers character, I mean, he wasn't going to abandon the team.
He wasn't going to abandon his adoptive father.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, it was good to see them not necessarily stand by his side. Like, hey, we're going to hold you accountable for a lot of what's transpired since you've been gone.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Yeah. What I'm trying to think as far as what's this, Charles?
Mwamba 85. I don't really know how to pronounce your name, but yeah, you bring up a great point.
Yep.
Charles' conversation with Rogue was absolutely hardcore, and she, kind of lets him have it about Remy and Gambit and all of that. That was a little heart tuggy. That one was a hard listen, but
Yeah, Charles, I was expecting somebody to go with Magneto. As far as when he was like, "Who wants to come with me?"
And I honestly thought Scott might.
I did briefly, but then the more I thought, it made sense for Rogue because of what happened to Gambit. And then she, hands over Gambit's trench coat and puts it on Xavier's shoulder, and she's like, deuces.
And even Sunspot was like,
yep,
I've been with you this entire time and it's brought me nothing but pain, and my family basically disowned me.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm going to go with the guy who's going to look out for mutant kind.
Yep. Yeah, it was definitely one of those scenes where it was like, wow, this is a big divide, especially with Rogue and the team. And now they're going to end up they're going to battle each other out, right? So
yeah.
And at that point in the episode, you're like, okay, well, are we going to see another main character die? Whether that's Rogue or another one of the X-Men that Rogue potentially could kill with her powers. I mean, that for the spoilers, obviously, for those who haven't seen it, it didn't happen, but it definitely had the question there at that point in the episode. Are we going to see another main character die? And but, we didn't though. So
well, next episode, I think we might.
I think that we could see one or two main characters die in the final episode. I think
I would be devastated if they killed Jean Grey again.
See, so I thought that. I thought when Cable was being controlled by Sinister,
yep,
and he was attacking Jean, and she quickly used her powers to send a quick message to Scott, pretty much, and we believe she's saying goodbye. I'm getting ready to die, and but then obviously her vision ends, and we don't know if that's what happened. We don't know if she was potentially saved. We don't know if she did die. Well, that came up last night. Bayou was tweeting during the episode, and there was a hint that potentially her turning back into the Phoenix again. So that would lead us to then believe that she doesn't die, and then potentially in the next episode or in season 2, that character plays out where now they're against her because they know how powerful she is. I know that kind of played out in the comic books as well.
And in season 3, I think they did Dark Phoenix in season 3.
So
yeah,
I mean that opens up a huge door for the last episode and going into season 2. Assuming season 2 is the last one, I mean that would be a big storyline for them for season 2.
I love that Sinister posed her the question, do you want, I will tell you if you ask nicely, when I swapped you two, and Jean Grey's like, I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter.
I wanted
to know. I wanted to know too, but I love that Jean Grey's like, nope, doesn't even matter. I don't give a shit. And that was the writers being like, oh yeah, you guys want to know? Yeah, tough shit.
Yeah. When that came up, I was waiting like, okay, we're going to find out when this happened. And yeah, to your point, she was like, yeah, I don't really care. Let's battle this out. I'm hoping at some point we do find out, or whether he's telling her or tells, potentially Scott or somebody else or Nathan.
Maybe Nathan. Yeah.
I would love to be able to know when that transpired. But I think that, okay, so now, I mean, we're kind of coming to the end pivotal point for me in the episode was the Magneto Wolverine scene.
I think real quick, seeing Nathan Grey utilize his Omega level kinetic power. Oh, fuck. I was like, this is why Cable is one of the strongest mutants in the X-Men. And a lot of people don't
know that.
They don't know that.
Yep.
And a large reason why people do not know that is because they think he's just, he's just got a metal arm. He's a technovore. And it's like, no. He's a telepath. But the thing is, he uses his telekinesis to keep the virus at bay. That's why he doesn't use it as often.
Well, and keep in mind, a lot of your general audience, people know Cable from the Cable version we got in Deadpool 2. So they wouldn't, I mean, to your point, he has these abilities and these powers. We don't see them often being used, and we were very fortunate in this episode. They like I said, they threw a risk out there. They were willing to take the risk to show you he has these abilities, and he does. And I think something like that, maybe in a future X-Men live action story, if they ever brought the Cable character back into the fold, it would benefit them to show that he has that power and ability.
I think Cable is in Deadpool and Wolverine. I think Josh Brolin has been playing it very, very coy in certain interview circuits, and he's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe
some of those. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think I was ever contacted for that. Yeah, I mean that would be great if he was. I mean, imagine if he showed up in Dead. I mean, I know this is a very far-fetched wish, but if he showed up in that and used those powers,
imagine if he showed up in Deadpool and Wolverine in that iconic blue suit.
Yes.
What if they did that?
That'd be
insane.
That'd be pretty peak for the character and for the film. I think that'd be great.
You could if they did that, and this is all just hearsay at this point.
Yeah, it's all speculation.
Speculation. If they did that, that would arguably probably turn Deadpool and Wolverine into the best X-Men movie of all time.
Yeah, the unofficial.
Unofficial.
Yeah, that would definitely. But I think many people, to your point, would probably refer to it as an X-Men film, because if they were to bring that type of character in and again show his abilities, rather than, to your point, he's just has a metal arm, his eye glows, and he's
a technopath, right?
Yeah, and that's pretty much it, right? So
when Morph turned to the Hulk, same thing. I fucking fist bumped. I was like, they did the Hulk. He's it's Morph, but still, it was like, okay, we have it, Hulk.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, they've really utilized Morph quite a bit as far as just giving those, even though it's Morph, that he's turning into these other very known characters. I mean, I think in the last episode he did Juggernaut.
Juggernaut last, and then he did Colossus prior to that at some point. Yep. Quicksilver, Magic, Archangel. Like, they've given Morph so many characters to dabble and play with. I'm just like, okay, who's he going to do next?
Yeah, in the last episode, I mean, imagine if they pulled out, multiple for him to do
right
in the final episode. I mean, if you're gonna do it, I mean, that would be the time to do it. Rather than just like in this last one we only got Hulk. If he did like 2 or 3 in some final episode epic battle, I think that would be a way to go out not for the character to die off, but to just use his abilities to show you these other characters that are in the same world. The same shared world with these other characters, which would be pretty cool to see.
So another interesting revelation this episode showed was apparently Charles Xavier went to Bastion's house because he thought he was a mutant.
Yes,
that was an interesting revelation.
Yeah,
I did like that.
Yeah, that was especially after the last episode when Jean, Scott, and Cable were at the house talking to the mom, who then we then soon realized was turned into a human sentinel by Bastion. So they've done really well, kind of definitely tying these episodes together in the story.
And even like Beast and Forge making the collar that's gonna inevitably probably neutralize Bastion.
So he couldn't control the Sentinels anymore. Yeah.
And I think both scenarios had really intense action sequences, like everyone fighting the Sentinels on the island of the Galapagos. That was the gold team, because blue team went after Magneto.
Correct. Yeah, gold team was Storm, Forge, Jean,
Morph, and Cable.
And then above you had Wolverine,
Nightcrawler, Cyclops,
Beast. I think that was it, right? I think that's it. Yeah, because
Jubilee.
Because Rogue, obviously Rogue was on Magneto's team, so
same with Roberto. Same with Roberto.
Because and Xavier was up there as well.
Right.
Yeah, because Wolverine initially tried to go after Magneto, and Rogue stopped him.
Right.
And then he eventually got another chance at him.
I'm shocked she didn't use her powers at all on any of them.
I wonder if that was intentional by the writers, creators for the show, that she stopped Wolverine, but she didn't necessarily want to kill Wolverine. Right. Because I mean, her whole point of going with Magneto was, I don't want to see any other mutants die. I mean, it would be very, very shitty of her to make such a bold statement to say, I don't want to see this happen anymore. Go up with Magneto and then kill one of the X-Men, 10 minutes later.
Now, it would be a real shock if in the last episode she's the one who has to neutralize Magneto to some extent.
That'd be epic.
That'd be fucking sauce, dude.
That would be epic.
I'd be shocked if that happened.
I mean, especially since she walked away from him the first time, right before the attack on Genosha. Now she joins him, and then she turns on him pretty much again, and then takes him down. That'd be epic.
Yeah. I don't know how this is going to end, but I will say that the ending of this episode was an all-timer.
Oh man, that was just, and it was. I agree. And then right when you were getting invested into that moment and the scene, credits rolled. I mean, what a cliffhanger that gave to go into this final episode.
So you read the story initially way back when, right?
It's been a minute. I mean, I had to go back and refresh myself on some of the details, but yeah, back when, I remember this happening in the comics.
Forgive me. What's the storyline they pulled from for this again?
It was the Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction
story. So I mean, there's obviously a lot more to. So what we saw in the episode was Magneto. So Charles tries to neutralize Magneto.
Right.
We believe it happens.
Right.
But we quickly find out Magneto's not dead. He's not in a comatose state. He then comes, charging right back. He puts takes his helmet, because Wolverine took the helmet off Magneto originally. That helmet gets put on Xavier, and then we see the epic scene where Wolverine comes right up behind Magneto, claws right through him, stabs right through him. We think, oh wow, this is how Magneto is going to die right here, because we thought he died in episode 5 or 6, during the battle or the attack. We find out later he didn't, and then for a brief moment you think, this is how he's going down. But then quickly Magneto, turns and looks at Wolverine, and then he just unleashes on Wolverine, and all the adamantium he just starts ripping out of his body, off of his bones. And then while we're seeing this happen, I mean, I think it's actually during it's happening, credits rolled.
Yep.
But again, I think many people were hoping to see this happen, and I'm glad we did see it, because I think it definitely fulfilled a lot of fans that want to see this in animation rather than just on the pages.
So if you noticed, each episode starts with someone saying previously on X-Men, and the person saying it is usually, more often than not, the focal point of the episode to some degree or another. This episode, Wolverine was the one to say it.
He did, yeah.
The end of the episode ended with him getting his adamantium ripped off of his bones.
Yep. And
it's like, oh man.
Now that you said that, I didn't even put that connection together. But now that you say that would make sense. Yeah. But there's a lot more to this story for Wolverine from a comic book perspective, as far as his journey now going forward. I mean, to shorten it up, eventually he does get the adamantium back, but he gets it back, with the help of Apocalypse, and that then begs the question: do we see that story play out in season 2? I mean, because we know Wolverine, after this happens to him, his healing ability kind of goes into overdrive, and he turns into like this different type of Wolverine. His body starts to change, and he becomes more vicious, more animalistic as far as his behavior. And eventually, at one point they're from a villain perspective to play like Death. He doesn't want to be that person, or be that way. Mm-hmm. And then he hooks up with Apocalypse, and eventually gets his adamantium back, and then teams back up with the X-Men. So the question is, we have this cliffhanger. I don't think we're going to see much of Wolverine in the next episode, to be honest. In my opinion, I don't think we will. I think he's probably done for this season. And now we see him have a focal point story, kind of like a side story for season 2. Like, we're going to follow the X-Men along this journey to do whatever they do. And then he's going to
get the Storm treatment.
Yeah.
There's the second season. Yeah.
As they did with Storm, because Wolverine leaves the X-Men at this point, kind of goes on his own path. And now we're going to watch his path to go through this and then come back to the X-Men probably towards the end of the season. Right. So
see that happening. Yeah. Yeah. Overall, I'm not even sure where I'd rank this one. It's good, but does it beat out, episodes 2, 3, and 5 for me?
No,
I don't think so. No, but I definitely think that it's now in that conversation of those 4 episodes.
It is, but for me, it'd be on the latter of those 4 episodes.
Sure. Yeah.
It's definitely in the conversation of being one of the most, not so, I wouldn't say best, but more emotional. Yeah. Because you have the Rogue scene. You have, let's take a step back even further. You have the Scott and Charles scene. Yeah. Right. You have that. Then you have the Rogue scene, and then you have something so dramatic happen with Wolverine, and then Charles coming to a moral dilemma on how he's going to respond to what his lifelong friend has just done to Wolverine.
Yep.
Right. So I think from an emotional perspective, this part it ranks as one of the highest ones. As far as to the category of those other episodes you mentioned, it's in the conversation, but it's definitely not like, wow, this is the best one. So
now, if it is someone's favorite, then obviously,
yeah. I mean, if it's your favorite, hey, that's awesome. I'm glad you're enjoying it and even investing the time to watch the show.
So we're both in agreement. There's absolutely no way they drop the ball on the final episode.
They can't. They've put so much time in making these first 9 episodes what they are: story, character development, everything. If they drop the ball on the third part of a finale in the last episode of the season, I think the backlash you'll get from the fans will be not so much what the hell are you guys doing, but it will be of disappointment that they've invested not into 9 episodes and then you totally just drop the ball on the 10th. I just can't see that happening. Like I said, I think we're going to see potentially 1 or 2 characters die, villain or not villain. It's going to happen. And we've gotten big cliffhangers a lot thus far. I think we could see another major cliffhanger, and then they're going to be like, "Yeah, see you in X number of months
for season 2."
For season 2,
yeah.
But one thing they have done well is they have teased a lot of these episodes well. Like they've done a lot of these little like 1 minute trailers, which they haven't given a lot away in these trailers, which I'm happy for, because last thing you want to do is see a 1 minute trailer and be like, well, now I don't even know. I don't need to watch the last few episodes. So they've done that very respectfully, I think. I'm
curious to see what kind of trailer or like clip they roll out for the final episode, because they typically do one at least every Tuesday before each episode airs.
Yeah, I fully expect we're going to see one again. I just hope they don't. Obviously, I don't think they will. They're not going to give anything pivotal away. But I am interested to see what they show, because in this last one we got to see them tease the old school suits,
the classic costumes that some of which showed up in Pride of the X-Men.
Yep.
Like Wolverine and Cyclops specifically. Well, Nightcrawler was always kind of wearing the same thing, so I guess that's really a departure.
The biggest changes for me were, as you just pointed out, Cyclops and Wolverine. I was glad to see Wolverine kind of like that dark brown orange.
I was shocked to see Jean Grey put on her Marvel Girl suit.
Yeah,
that was a bit shocking.
But it was again, it was one of those cool transitions to see that, because they went. I mean, it made sense because they were at their old base, so obviously their old suits were there, and that's what they had, because everything else was destroyed when the mansion was destroyed. So
right,
made sense.
Well, overall, I think we both enjoyed the epised.
Absolutely, yeah, it was. It's a great episode.
But speaking of suits,
oh boy, here we go, everybody.
Yep, here we go.
Here we go.
The bomb that inevitably dropped and set the internet into an absolute this suit right here sent the internet into an absolute tisfit. Oh my god,
man, this I'll let you jump in first. You go first.
Oh man,
I'll go first. You want me to go first? I'll go first.
You want to Rochambeau for it?
No, you go. No, you go.
Okay. So James Gunn dropped this suit ripe and early Monday morning.
Yep.
And I had just finished up doing some stuff at work. I had taken a couple minutes to myself, and I shit you not, Sean. This was literally the first thing I saw when I opened up my phone on Threads, because I was just doing a quick scroll, and it was literally right there. It's like it posted now. I saw it as it posted. I was like, I had to do a double take because it was from James Gunn, right? And then I started looking at it, and I was like, oh, it's the suit reveal. It's David Corn Sweat in the Superman suit, right? How do I feel about it?
Yeah, let's hear how you feel about this.
How do I feel about this?
I'm interested. I'm on the edge of my seat to hear the Phil take on this suit.
Look, listen. I think it looks fine. I think the suit itself looks fine. I don't love it. I don't even hate it. I think it looks brutally honest thought. I think it looks a little like it's meshed between the suit that Tyler Hoechlin wore and then the suit that's the symbol that Brandon Routh wore in Crisis. I think the suit is a little evocative of that. Do I think that means cheap? Not by any stretch of the imagination. No. Am I shocked that there are trunks on it? No.
No, not
No, I'm not at all shocked that there are trunks in this outfit. At not one bit. I do think, and this very well could be to the battle damage aspect of it, but it is a little jarring to see the bottom half be a little brighter than the top half.
Yep.
I'm actually kind of surprised the cape is as long as it is, or at least seemingly. Yep. I honestly kind of expected a shorter cape, so I'll be happy to be wrong about that. And honestly, the collar really doesn't do anything for me. I'm not really too much of a fan of the collar, if I'm being brutally honest. Like that high almost turtleneck looking collar does nothing for me at all. The boots, okay, there's Superman boots. It looks like Superman from. Overall, I think the suit looks New 52 with some trunks on it and the Kingdom Come logo.
Yep. Now,
I'm gonna be straight up with you though. This picture looks like crap.
Yeah.
This picture looks like crap. And I mean, not even him sitting down in the pose. I'm not even bothered by that, okay? I don't care. And I'm not saying I don't care because I'm like not interested. I'm saying like it doesn't bother me. It's very abundant why he had him sit down. He didn't want the trunks to be the focal point. That much is clear to me, okay? And evidently they showed this picture off because, well, they're probably going to be shooting shit outside soon. So they wanted to get ahead of the leaks, right? That background looks like shit. I'm sorry. Like it does not evoke any positive emotion for me whatsoever. You've got Metropolis kind of blurred out there. You've got this big beam just fucking laying waste to the world. And he's just taking his time putting his suit on. I'm like, that's great. That background looks like shit. I'm sorry. Like, and this is apparently ILM and Weta. I've seen them both do better. This is just not good. This is not at all good. I'm not saying I don't like it. I don't think it looks very good. And this is, your first reveal photo for Superman. You could have very easily just had the sun shining and done that. It could have been a very natural looking picture, but no. For whatever reason, they had to go the extra mile and show this, massive vaporizing beam in the sky just doing its thing. And I'm like, all right, that's great, I guess. I don't really have anything.
You're kind of indifferent is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm pretty indifferent. I think the suit looks fine, but I think the background looks like shit. Like there's really no getting around that as far as I feel about it. Like it doesn't. And even going back to like the first photos that Gunn shared of like his Guardians movies, I'm like, why couldn't you do something a little more centric like that? But this feels I'm trying too hard. And he didn't even take this picture. This was captured by a photographer on set of the movie. And this was clearly, the background was very much clearly like a Photoshop or added in a post situation. And I'm just like, you could have done something natural. And that's, you added all this shit in the background. I'm like, it completely almost takes away from what you're trying to focus on, in my opinion. And I'm not a fan of the background. I think the suit looks fine though.
Okay.
What about you?
All right, so I will start off with the same setup as you did. I don't love it. I don't hate it. The change I'll make in my statement is I haven't seen enough of it, and I say that from a perspective of is in its final use.
Yes.
Right. I mean, we all know for photographs like this, production pictures, things like that are going to look vastly different than what we're going to see in a final film version of any suit. So I'll set the tone with that. Now, we've all heard the saying, first impressions are everything. Whether that's your personal life, whether that's in your professional life, your career, your job, whatever. That's what this failed at. This is truly outside the small little teaser of the symbol we got, which we've had for a few months now. This was, in my opinion, the absolute worst first impression you could give the fans for the new Superman, for the new DCU feature film, main film, Superman. I'm a big fan of the Kingdom Come story. I especially with Alex Ross. Alex Ross is one of my favorite artists. He just is. As far as I knew we were going to get like this red and gold. We knew that going into it. I'm partial to the red and black symbol that we've seen traditionally with this particular one. So I mean, the gold, it is what it is. Now the suit itself, I'm with you. It definitely has that new 52 vibe to it. I'm not too keen. I'm also not too keen on the collar, but again, I understand that that's the source material, so to speak, that they're pulling from with that particular look of the suit. I agree that like the cape looks deceptively long here, but again, I mean, he's a pretty tall guy, isn't he? Like 6'3", 6'4".
He's 6'4", yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, he's a pretty tall guy. So again, it just could be we could just be deceived by the fact that it looks long, but when he actually stands up, it fits him and his height perfectly. Now, the biggest gripe I think I have seen on this is I've seen people say, "Oh, this is a leftover. It looks like a leftover CW suit. Oh, this looks like something you'd wear to Comic-Con," and the outrage and hate for this image. I don't think I've seen that much in just the 2 days that this has been revealed in a while. I mean, the photoshops that people have done to put, change that background. I agree. That background looks horrible. I mean, something classier could have easily been done for that. But I mean, you got so many people changing the back. I mean, I saw one where they got the Superman sitting in the shoe store with Al Bundy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, they're really ripping this apart. I do like, I'm actually more interested in understanding when we actually get the film, the battle damage that we're seeing on the suit.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we heard the rumor a while back, which is not, I don't know if it was ever shot down, that, there's going to be a clone Superman in this film where it's kind of like a villain Superman. I mean, are we seeing that here where this battle damage is to represent the difference between the good and the bad Superman? I don't know. Again, that was all speculation, but it's still a question. The suit just doesn't, for me, it doesn't fit him. And again, it could just be the fact that he's sitting. Like, you look at his shoulders, his wrist, the emblem doesn't look like it's even really part of the suit, because you can see around the suit how it's bunching up, especially on his abs.
Yeah.
Now, I want to also set the expectation that I'm not a Henry Cavill super fan. I enjoy Henry Cavill in the role. I enjoy Christopher Reeve in the role, Brandon in the role. I enjoy what each actor has brought to the character. I'm willing to give this one a chance, to give this version and this actor a chance in the role. To your point, this was not the best way to win over fans, especially fans of Henry Cavill, fans of the DCEU, to accept this new Superman with this image. This was probably, James Gunn probably did himself the biggest disservice with this by posting this image and saying, here's your new Superman in his suit. Because the other thing people just got on to Henry about was, he's not happy. He's always walking around with this look on his face like he's constantly sad or angry. I mean, look at this image. This guy isn't smiling. I mean, and that was one of the big things they got on to Henry about. So obviously we'll see more. We'll know more when we get a teaser what the suit truly will look like in the film. But the pushback this has gotten, and we know they've already started filming. in this suit. So now it's kind of hard to course correct, to say, man, the fans really hate this suit. How do we change it now to kind of, not completely, but kind of change it a little bit to get the fans excited, right? I mean, that's going to be a tall order.
Now, a lot of people are theorizing that the thing in the background could be Solaris from the All-Star Superman story, and I'm like, okay, I can understand that. Immediately, you know, my mind kind of went to Brainiac.
Well, I even heard people say like the green we're seeing there, and if you look right above his head, that green beam, that some people are expecting that's the Green Lantern.
It's possible, yeah.
So, I mean, but yeah, to your point, the background just, it doesn't make sense for this picture of
Superman. I feel like you could have done something a little more reserved and a little more grounded in terms of a first reveal. And I'm trying very hard not to, you know, compare it to the other first reveal we had of the last Superman, because that to me is like comparing Goudet de Ma to a cheap bottle of wine you got at the grocery store.
Absolutely. Yeah. The one where he's got the vault behind him. I think that's what
right.
I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I've even heard people say, oh, you can see LexCorp in the background, or you can see the Daily Planet. I'm just like, fucking what? Metropolis is not in focus. How would you? Where do you even get that from? Like, I don't. I mean, if you want to imagine it there, sure, I suppose you can, but good on you, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you have some sort of supercomputer where you can, you know, focus in on that background and figure out what those buildings are. Hey, good, yeah, to your point, good for you. But I mean, I see this. There's no way I could tell you with any definitive likeliness that, oh yeah, there's the Daily Planet right there in the bottom corner. There's LexCorp right there by his shoulder. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't make that design.
Just says, I don't love the lines and bagginess near the top, but I like the boots, the symbol, the hair curl, and the collar. See, you actually brought up something else I don't like. I don't like the spit curl. I think it looks goofy. But that's just, you know, that's me. I've never really ever been a fan of the spit curl on Superman.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, it's never really done justice, because people are like, oh, it's like a tiny little S on his head. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah. I think that's maybe part of Gunn's trying to give that classic look, as far as maybe what Christopher Reeve had for when he was in the character.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be kind of the tie back, the callback. But I mean, I agree that the lines, I mean, when you look at the lines, especially, I mean, you can see it on his what would be his right knee, it would be our left. You can see it, you can see them there. Then you can clearly see them right above the symbol going across his chest and shoulders. I mean, yeah, this suit has been, man, the backlash this suit has gotten it's been, I expected it. I didn't expect it to be this
overt.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I fully expected what a lot of the hardcore fans have been doing. They've literally been taking, to your point, the reveal picture that Henry had, even some of the other pictures, behind the scene pictures, and then we're like, hey, this is a behind the scene picture of Henry in his suit, and look how great it looks, and this is what you're showing us as far as what the new Superman's going to look like in his. I mean, the only thing I'll give to it is Henry's suit fit him perfectly. I mean, yeah. I mean, it was a perfect fit. I mean, if we're going to call out, you know, a spade's a spade, I mean, he didn't have this bagginess going on. And again, it could just be the fact that the position he's in and he stands up, it fits better, or it's not fully like he's not fully wearing it. It could be, I don't know, but it just.
I think that has a lot to do with it too, because there is another photo of Corin Sweat going around where he's got guns, dude. He's jacked. And I'm like, why would you put such a thick suit on him?
Yeah, it seemed like that picture of him at the gym came out, I think, soon after this one, or did it come after this one? All I know is when this came out, many people, as many will claim, it's all these Snyder cultists were tearing this apart. They were starting to show that picture, and I thought, wow, I mean, he really he put on some muscle for this role. Yeah. And to your point, I couldn't see that. I mean, you definitely can't see that he's done that work. He's put in the effort to play the role in this suit. Definitely see it.
It's a tough sell just by looking at this one image too, right? I mean,
absolutely. And I mean, again, this is a production. I think you said earlier, some photographer took the picture. Obviously, the background was altered for the final release by James.
Right.
I mean, and even for James, you would think, I mean, this isn't his first time around the block. You would think, hey, is this really the best background I would want to put on a release?
And again, I go back to not even, what Snyder did with Man of Steel. I go back to like what he did with the first Guardians films.
Yeah.
Like, dude, your first images of those were pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
And this just feels, I'm probably going to get some shit. It looks lazy.
Yeah.
It looks lazy and rushed. I'm not really jiving with it too much. I don't know. Like, I'm with you. I need to see this suit and him in action.
Yep.
Before I make any like hard definitive call on it. But again, like overall, like it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not. It's not the best shit since baked bread. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, and like we both, I think like we both said at the beginning, I don't like it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm indifferent about it because again, I mean, if we all put on just our regular clothes and sit down like this, I mean, your clothes are gonna bunch up, right? I mean, you're not gonna look the best in this position, leaning over, putting whether it's your shoes or in this case his boots on. And again, it's a behind the scenes production picture. I think there will be some changes made as far as what it will look like, how he's wearing it, how he does action scenes, how he moves around in it when he's standing. I mean, again, the guy's
what I would have honestly preferred.
I mean, he's a big guy.
I would have honestly preferred. This might be a little nitpicky. I would have honestly preferred something akin to what David Ayer did with Suicide Squad. I would have loved to have seen Corn Sweat Superman, Isabella Merced's Hawk Girl, the Engineer, and Guy Gardner and Metamorpho and Gathegi's Mr. Terrific. Like I would have much preferred to see them all like standing next to each other in hero poses.
Yeah.
I would have almost preferred that as opposed to this, but hey,
Well, I mean, let's put this question on the table. I mean, this is what we've seen for, the primary character for this film, the titled character for this film. Right. And this is the suit we're seeing. And this is the backlash that unfortunately, the actor's getting, the movie, and now James Gunn's getting.
Yeah.
What are the other character suits going to look like? I mean, if this is a problem for the title character, is it going to be a bigger problem for these other heroes or anti-heroes or whatever that are already supposedly established in this world, and we're going to see them? What does that now look like? And then let's take it a step further. What's it then look like for Supergirl when that comes around? Because you're not going to want to drift so far off to the far right with Supergirl's suit. When you think about what's been done for him, there's going to need to be some kind of synchronization there at some level, because if they're two completely different looking suits, styles, and everything, I think that's gonna get fans even more worked up.
I hear you, Eric, but here's the thing: like, I'm not referring to some shitty some shitty photo from some sniper picture that someone took way far away. I mean, a legitimate production still. That's what I'm referring to. Like, yes, we've seen pictures of the Engineer, but they're unofficial, straight up. Like, there's nothing to be fawning over with that picture of the actress playing the Engineer in those photos, honestly.
Yeah.
But seriously, like, I don't know. The movie could be great. It could be
absolutely. Yeah. And that's my thing. And I think we've all on this, the crew that comes on this show, I think we've all said it on some level, and I think many people who have seen me on this show and in other shows, I've said it before. I will continue to say it again. I'm a fan of the character. I'm a fan of the DC comics. I love DC. I think every actor that has portrayed any character, whether it's been Batman like Keaton, Kilmer,
Pattinson,
Affleck, they were all right for the role and the world that was built around them. The world that's been built around them was perfect for that particular iteration of the character. With this one, I just don't know enough, and the background makes no sense. The background may make sense when we know what it is about from a teaser trailer or the final film, but I'll see this film because I like the character.
So here's the thing. You actually, we just touched on something very similar. So let's talk about the first reveal photo from Ben Affleck as opposed to the first reveal of Robert Pattinson, right? Like, vastly different presentations.
Oh yeah.
But still, they fucking sold what they were selling.
Absolutely.
Right? Like,
Absolutely.
you know, you had the first image of Ben Affleck standing next to the Batmobile brooding, and it looked black and white. It was
Black and
great.
white picture. Yep.
Then you get to, you know, 2020 when they're shooting the Batman, and what does Matt Reeves do on Vimeo? First look fucking teaser video of Robert Pattinson in the suit to a black drop or black and red drop with Michael Giacchino's score. Fucking phenomenal.
Yep.
Now,
and then
you know,
and then you get this.
and again, you know, juxtaposed to, you know, the last iteration that did this, Man of Steel, it kind of boils down to execution and presentation. And honestly, I don't want, I'm probably going to sound like a shill, but it's like, dude, I'm sorry. Like,
I mean, I'll say it. It missed the mark. It missed the mark. So if your attempt is to try and bring the audience who loved Henry, who loved the DCEU films, loved the tone, everything about what that environment world was. I know a lot of fans. I'm a fan of that world. I loved Man of Steel. I loved Batman versus Superman. So I'm gonna
same
preface that. But I also and people will say, well, then you're a Snyder cultist. Well, I'm not, because I accept the fact that world is over. I accepted that fact a long time ago. I don't think we're ever going to see those iterations of the characters again. Live action, it's done. Those actors have moved on.
100%.
Zach has moved on. It's time we all move on. Now, if they do that in a comic or an animation, then that's you can't even compare that to a live action. Now, when we go into this, I mean, like I said earlier, first impressions are everything. And if James Gunn, if his attempt was, I want to bring the people who love Snyder's work so much, I want them to enjoy this version just as much. This did not convince them.
Well, in that same breath, though, we both knew that even the hardcore Snyder cultists were already going to hate it no matter what. But more so speaking to the level-headed people who kind of accept the fact that, you know, Snyder's moved on, right? Yeah. You know, I think, did this move the needle for them? I don't think. I think no. It may have for a few, but not the overall majority, you know?
Yeah, I 100%. You said, I think the vast majority, I think this might have put them off even more. Like, oh, this is possibly this is what you're going to give me. Because honestly, one of the when this dropped, to your point, I didn't see it on wherever James posted, whether it was Threads or Instagram.
It was a double post. So if you're fortunate, I haven't figured it out yet, but you can post something to Instagram and it will post to Threads and vice versa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. So yeah, and I didn't even know he had posted it there. So when I first saw this image, it showed up on X.
Right.
And I first thought, is this real? I mean, how many times have we seen these Photoshop AI things pop up? So at first I dismissed it. And then I started seeing, DC pages, WB page. Wait a minute, this might be legit. So I immediately then, okay, I gotta go see if James actually posts this, and he did. And I was like, dude, really? This is what you're gonna give as your first? Hey, this is your new Superman. I mean, why didn't you have him standing or something else besides this? I think the pose and the way the suit looks really just did it a disservice.
It's
the background I can ignore, because the background is the background. To me, I want to know what the character looks like.
Right.
But to your point, though, the background didn't help the situation.
No, not at all.
So
not at all. Not at all. I think, again, I think we're both in pretty much the same ballpark. Yeah. The suit looks fine. The presentation, not so much fine.
I think the teaser trailer will be the tell-all, because I would hope it in the teaser trailer we're going to see him mobile and moving around in the suit. Probably not the whole teaser, but we'll probably see maybe like a 3 to 5 second snippet of him actually in the suit doing something. And I think that will be very telling on how this suit's going to play out.
Yeah, I agree. I think the first teaser, whenever they decide to drop that, will be the next make or break point for James Gunn's Superman. Honestly, do I kind of feel bad for the guy that he's getting a lot of backlash everywhere else on the internet? Yes and no.
I feel bad more for the actors
than
I do for him.
Yes.
because he knows what he's doing. This isn't his first time doing comic book movies. I mean, to your point, he did Guardians of the Galaxy, those films. He put out some fire first reveals, so he knows how to do it. This isn't his first go around, and again, he knew the stakes that were at risk with this character, with this universe, and giving everyone a first look at the new Superman. So he has no one to blame but himself for the backlash. But again, I feel bad for the actors.
Yeah, I'm not David Corenswet's biggest supporter. I mean, it's pretty well documented that I'm not, exactly enthused about him playing Superman for no other reason other than it's just like I've seen him in like one or two things, and I kind of need to see more of him in this role before I have like a hardline feeling about how he's going to play the character. Honestly, I'm way more interested in seeing Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane than I am him as Superman. But
no, I can 100% respect that.
And I was actually even thinking about that specific type of thing today, like just how big of a fan of Superman am I? Right? Like that was a question I'd asked myself today, because after seeing this photo, I was like, I didn't really, again, like the needle for me for this movie still is just like not move one way, not move the other way. I'm just like, not necessarily like impress me, but I'm just like, I've yet to see anything that garners excitement.
Yeah, when I saw this film, I wasn't like, oh man, I mean, I'm excited to see this film. I can't wait for that. That was not my feeling nor reaction. I saw it and I was just like, okay, well, this looks great. But like I said, I don't like it, I don't hate it. I just need to see it in motion.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think we both just kind of went.
Yeah, that was pretty much. And I think the point you touched on earlier, which I didn't mention, was the trunks don't surprise me. I was 99% sure. Yeah, James Gunn is going to bring the trunks back. That I accepted a long time ago.
I'm actually glad
I like Superman without them, but I knew it was going to happen.
I'm glad Ryan's not here because he'd say he was right.
Yeah,
because he was right. I think we all kind of collectively went, James Gunn is going to use the trunks, and he did. So
he did, and it was crazy is a lot of people didn't notice it at first. It seemed to take almost the entire day before someone finally looked. Wait a minute,
that was one of the first things I noticed too. I had to like I zoomed in and I was like, yep, he did the trunks.
I think I noticed it after my second or third take of it, because I was just so the background and the fact that the suit looks like it doesn't fit him, knowing that we know he put in the work to get beefed up for this. That's what I focused. I mean, that's what stood out to me.
I disagree. I thought this was a great reveal, and I like how different it was, and yet
it presents
the essence of Superman. Hey.
And I can respect that.
Awesome.
Absolutely. I mean, if you thought this was great and you love it, hey, that's awesome. Again, I'm not saying I don't like it. But
it would be different.
Your opinion. I didn't see his name. What's his name? Ron something.
It was Ron 6750. It would be very different if Sean and I were just being like, no, you're wrong for liking it. That's not at all what we're fucking saying.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely not saying. Like I said, I'm a fan. I mean, like I said, for the symbol, I love the symbol. I love the again. Alex Ross, Kingdom Come. That's one of my favorite Superman iterations and symbols. I loved it when Brandon wore it. I'm more partial to the red and black versus this red and gold that's being used. But hey, I mean, I'm okay with that. I mean, it's a slight change, not a big deal. They're still using the primary symbol. But again, if you love it and you thought it was a great reveal, hey, I'm happy for you. I'm glad you're excited about it. Again, I'm not saying I hate it. I'm not saying I love it. I'm just saying I haven't seen enough of it to make a yes, I do love it, or no, this isn't for me.
Honestly, I think the biggest surprise for me is probably the cape. I was kind of expecting, again, the cape to be shorter, but I'm surprised it looks as long as it does.
It does look long, but my thought is it again looking deceptively long because we know how tall he is. So when he stands up, could it be like maybe 3 or 4 inches from the bottom of his boots? Right? I mean, it very well could be. I mean, I think Henry's went all the way down to the ground, didn't it?
I think so.
I know Henry's not nearly as tall as this Superman. So
yes, Henry's 6'1", Corenswet's 6'4".
Yeah, I mean 3 inches is quite.
Henry has a question. Let's see. Can I ask a question? Why would you like to see David Corenswet with no trunks? And because Henry Cavill already did that. It's not even so much because Henry Cavill did that. It's just an overall aesthetic that, in my opinion, and probably Sean's, it just kind of looks visually more appealing. It happened in New 52, which was a 2011 book. it started there with that, version of Superman. At least from my knowledge, that's where it started in the comics. It could have happened sooner. I don't really recall. But yeah, as far as a live action goes, yeah, Man of Steel kind of takes the crown for that. But I don't know. Yeah. There's just something kind of goofy about red chonies on the outside of a superhero costume, in my opinion. Same goes for Batman. I don't really want to see, black underwear on the outside of a gray costume, personally.
Yeah, I would echo what Phil just said. Again, I'm not saying Henry has now set the standard that every Superman shouldn't have trunks. I mean, so the Christopher Reeve films came out before my time, but even at my age, that's what Superman I grew up with. As far as the first Superman I was exposed to, and even as a kid, seeing that, and even in the comics that were in the the 80s and 90s. It never made sense to me. Even when I look back to the Batman TV series from the 60s, it never made it. Even then, it didn't make sense to me. Why this particular choice in the costume? So it's never been something that's been appealing to me. I was glad to see Henry's Superman without them. But again, I accepted the fact that when James Gunn came in, it was very likely it was going to happen, and I'm okay with it. It's not like, again, I'm not going to see the movie because of this. It's just something that my particular taste or decision would have been not to do it. So
same. Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of a preferential thing at this point. Trunks, no trunks. That debate is pretty endless. If you find yourself, and I'm not speaking to anyone directly in the chat, but just in general, like if you find yourself having a trunks conversation with someone, walk the fuck away. Like if you feel differently about it, you should, at the very least, just acknowledge you feel differently about it and just walk the fuck away. Because that is one conversation that's honestly not worth it anymore, especially in 2024. It's almost as aged as like the Batman kills or whatnot. Like it's in that same conversation, in my opinion.
We won't touch on that. I have some strong feelings about that.
Yeah, I think we both do. But considering we're getting kind of close to wrapping stuff up here, I think we should move on to the next segment of our show. Sounds which good. Speaking of which, I have something to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone. So as you all know, I saw Alien 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah. Last week's show I talked about Alien.
Yep.
This week, we had a little Star Wars event that happened over the weekend. May the 4th be with you. May the 4th be with everyone else. I was fortunate enough to see the Phantom Menace 25th anniversary re-release this past weekend at the theater.
Nice.
Oh my God, was this an excellent experience. I laughed. I even cried a little bit. I laughed a lot. Not at the movie, but more so with the movie. Because this is one I grew up with on VHS. This was the only Star Wars film I had not seen in a movie theater. So getting to see Jar Jar Binks and all his goofy glory in this movie, it was worth it. I laughed with Jar Jar throughout the entirety of it. I don't care how that makes anyone else. If you hate Jar Jar, that's your business. Feel free to hate the very first CGI character ever created. That's entirely your business. I don't hate that character. Were some of the effects still a little dodgy? Yeah, sure, 100%. But the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan stuff in this movie,
man,
chef's kiss, just absolutely fucking top notch. Was the dialogue kind of stiff? Yeah, there's no denying about that. Like George, you could tell there were some rough lines of dialogue there in certain respects, and it is a little bit more expository in certain sequences. The one thing I did notice this time around, and I don't know that I'd ever noticed it before, was just how when Natalie Portman is playing Queen Amidala, and when she is not. And I don't think I ever made that connection until seeing it in the big screen, because there are very poignant points in the movie where she's very much in the white makeup and has the other bits going on. Her hair is all fucking weird and shit. But then there were certain points where she was like Padme, and you're like, wait a minute. So I had a little bit of cognitive dissonance going on there, because I was like, oh, right, because the entirety of the movie she's playing it she will be there for very important sequences, but in every other aspect of the film, she has to have a body double just to protect herself. And I was like, okay. And then like, even after watching the movie in happenstance, you know, there are moments in the film where, you know, Qui-Gon tells Padme like, oh, you know, the queen should take my judgment into account. And then like Padme gives him a look and is like, well, I don't approve. And it's like, because you're the queen. Hey, right? Like I had a little bit of that going on. And Jake Lloyd, man, fucking poor Jake Lloyd. That guy got so much shit for playing young Anakin Skywalker. And that's just unfair because I quite like that kid a bit. Like, you know, I grew up watching Phantom Menace and Jingle All the Way growing up. And he's in both of those movies. So I was like, oh, hey, yeah, okay. But that's not the best part of the movie. We all know what I'm about to talk about. That's the motherfucking Duel of the Fates.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's
hot fuck. Was this so cool to see in live action? Well, yeah, live action, but like to see it in a theater and like get that John Williams score, that Darth Maul hood off reveal, the double lightsaber, boom, boom. Like, oh my God, this was just, ooh, I was so just tense and happy. And I backed out of my seat, like, you know, because they have reclining seats now. I put my shit unreclined and I leaned forward as if this was 1999. And I was just like, I was so ecstatic to watch this fight play out on the big screen. And like anytime it was on screen, I was just fucking glued. I did not pay attention to anything or anyone else. My eyes were just on the screen because that's just how much I love that duel and that lightsaber duel in the Phantom Menace. It is without question my favorite lightsaber battle in all of Star Wars. There is no topping it for me. Yeah, there are other good ones in other movies, don't get me wrong, but the Duel of the Fates is the number one duel. I'm sorry. I'm actually, no, I'm not sorry. That is a fucking hard fact. That is hands down one of the best choreographed fight sequences in all of film. It is one of the best lightsaber duels in Star Wars, bar none. It is hands down one of the best things George Lucas ever fucking shot. Period. End of conversation. Yeah, it still got flaws, definitely for sure. There are some sequences in it that you can tell look Windows 98. I didn't give a shit. This movie was the fucking sauce to watch in the theater, and I can't fucking wait to see like whatever they do next. You know, be it the Rey movie, be it Mando Grogu, be it fucking James Mangold's first Jedi flick, or even Dave Filoni's movie. I don't care. I'll always go see a Star Wars movie in the theater. But yeah. Next week, hopefully, should be Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That is the next film on the docket for Phil at the movies. But you know that this has been another segment of Phil at the movies. So now that's all,
I would echo I echo everything you said. Yeah, that's it's just one of the best sequences. And the score just does so much for it too. So
doesn't it?
It does.
I mean, kind of go back and forth.
There are some, you know, like bits, like frames here and there, right? That we could all call it in every movie, but that lightsaber duel is just
too good.
It is. I mean, I think you mentioned it. I mean, when he drops his hood, it was like just one of those almost like character reveals. We knew what Darth Maul looked like, but at that point when he just drops it and he's like, all right, let's do this. Yeah, it's just, I mean, and be able to see, I remember when it first came out, I saw it on the big screen. I didn't get to see it this time around for the anniversary, but I mean, that's awesome that you were able to see it.
They were also showing the entire saga, and I was like, yeah. I don't know if I could do that.
They did that at one theater where I'm at. They did it, but I mean, it's sold out quick. Yeah, they were showing them all back to back, and I did the Dark Knight trilogy. When Dark Knight Rises released, they did Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and at midnight they were showing Dark Knight Rises. Even those three films they were great films. I love those films, but they're hard to sit through back to back.
Yeah, I did that for Batman Day in September last year, and that started at like 12:30.
Yep.
And I didn't get home until like 10 o'clock at night because those movies are, 2 hour, 20 minutes for the first one, about 2:35 for The Dark Knight. And then it's pushing 3 hours for Dark Knight Rises. And it's, you also factor in like about a half hour in between each screening too. So people can like use the bathroom, get some more beverage and popcorn, whatever. I think the only one I had popcorn for was, I think, The Dark Knight.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah.
Actually, no, I take that back. The only one I had popcorn for was Batman Begins because I had not seen Batman Begins in the theater.
So I had not gotten anything until Dark Knight Rises
Okay.
at midnight. So
yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, yes, to do 6 Star Wars back to back, that'd be a long day for sure.
That'd be more than a day.
No, meaning like in general, like you're talking like probably a day and a half by the time you factor in the time, the breaks, and everything. I mean, if they start at, let's say 6, 7, or probably 7, 8 a.m., you could probably get through them and up until probably 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Yep.
Counting breaks and all that, right? But
right,
that's still a lot of Star Wars.
That's a full fucking day.
Yeah,
that's a full day at the movie theater. Your ass would be fucking sore.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, you're gonna those chairs, they're good for one movie, but 6, they're not gonna be good for 6.
Okay, so at the end of Phantom Menace, they showed a very extended look at the Acolyte.
Okay.
It was fucking dope. Like, it was super fucking dope. And they focused on one character that has an actress in the role that I'm very familiar with. I'm sure you're familiar with, Carrie-Anne Moss.
Yep.
They showcased her character and the Acolyte, whichever character, like fucking duking it out in some kind of like, some kind of bar or meetup spot.
Okay.
And it's good. It's really good. It looked incredible. Following day on May the 4th, they showed a whole fucking trailer for the Acolyte. And I was like, oh, some of this was in the footage that I saw last night.
Nice.
Did you watch the trailer by chance?
I did. I watched it right before this, and the one I know what scene you're talking about. I think this trailer for me was definitely better than the first trailer we got.
That's fair.
And one thing I loved how this trailer ended. Right. I mean, you only got maybe 5 to 7 seconds where you see the red saber activate, and they're all like, who the fuck is this? And you see the character turn, and they got like almost looks like an alien type helmet on.
Yeah.
And then and then it's almost as if, okay, game on, and they're getting ready to now go into this fight. And then obviously the trailer ends. I mean, when it comes to Star Wars, for me, it's more, I want to see more Sith. I want to see more of the dark side. I want to see more of this darker area of the Star Wars verse that we typically don't get to see because it's so focused on the Jedi aspect, the good, the Force, and all that. I want to see more Sith stuff.
And even, it also takes some focus on like the Rebel Alliance versus the Empire, the Resistance and the First Order, or even like, the Jedi and the Old Republic, et cetera, et cetera. So I think setting this story in the High Republic era and seeing like a legitimate rise to the Sith is kind of interesting too, because that I think leads more credence to the focus being on the Sith too. I mean, for crying out loud, the show is called The Acolyte, right? So yeah, I'm intrigued. I will definitely be checking that out. Outside of that, I think I spent most of Star Wars Day itself watching the sequel trilogy. I focused on the sequel trilogy.
Yeah. For me, I tend to focus. I mean, I tend just to focus on one or two of films, and that for me, and I know it's not everyone's favorite. I mean, I kind of like Clone Wars. I mean, I know
which one?
Clone Wars. So episode 2.
Oh, Attack of the Clones.
Sorry, Attack of the Clones. Yes, sorry.
Attack of the Clones. Yeah.
And Empire Strikes Back. I mean, for me, that's typically I'll watch one of them on Star Wars like that. I'm going for Empire. It's just one of those ones where I enjoy as we're talking about saber battles, between Luke and Vader.
Yep.
And it's not so much the fact that he finds out it's his dad. Even if that was never part of the story, I wouldn't care. It's just the fact that we see these two battling out. Someone who's not necessarily a fully trained Padawan on any level, and he's attempting to go against a full-blown Sith.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like in the past I've probably done my favorite ones of each trilogy. So that would have been Revenge of the Sith, Empire, Force Awakens.
Yeah, Force Awakens. Yeah, I would say for the last 3, Force Awakens would probably be my favorite for the final 3. Trilogy.
And I've got a pretty odd ranking for the sequel trilogy as it is. I know a lot of people, when it comes to the latter two, they pick one over the other for specific reasons. Me personally, I go Force Awakens, Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could see that. As far as how the story's played out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
but as far as which one I would, if I was say, hey, which one did you want to watch? It's going to be
Force Awakens. Yeah,
absolutely. That's the one I'm going for.
Although I almost find myself going to Rise of Skywalker a little bit more weirdly. And I think it's because like that movie is so fascinating in that it was a very difficult movie to make. Yeah. Like despite the fact that like all the Leia stuff is so, you know, it's connected, but you know why it's connected, and it feels almost awkward, but at the same time it's like I can't not be mad at the fact that Carrie Fisher is here and she's not even in the movie, technically speaking. Like
correct, yeah.
It's a very interesting watch for me, but also because like I don't necessarily align with the idea that JJ like retconned everything from Last Jedi. I just feel like, you know, he took his characters back and is like, well, this is where they were positioned. This is what I'm going to do with them now.
Well, and rightfully so, right? I mean, he was doing the movie. I mean,
right.
I mean, I don't think anyone, I think many people didn't expect it, but for me, I didn't expect anything different. I mean, he was gonna try to tell the story he wanted to originally tell. So
I think the thing that bugs me the most about that movie is like, this is your final movie in the saga, right? And you cut it down to 2 hours and 15 minutes. And there's just a lot of moments in that movie that, you know, we just boom, 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 boom. It's just very
rushed.
Not even rushed per se, but like it's paced very quickly. Like there's elements in this film where you just do not get any time to breathe with them. And I feel like there's at least a 3-hour Abrams cut somewhere in there in the deep vault of Lucasfilm that no one's ever going to see.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even if there is, we'll never see it. I mean, I think that the only thing we would potentially ever see, which there'd be no reason to do it, unlike the original trilogy, was, you know, you had Lucas come in and start touching things up or adding stuff. There would be no reason for that for these newer films because the technology was there to do what they wanted to do.
Right.
So, yeah, but
yeah, you know, all in all, it was a solid Star Wars day. You know, spent in good moderation. Yeah, seems like we both had a solid time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's still pretty cool. You got to see that on the big screen though.
Yeah, I'm pretty ecstatic. I got to watch that. I watched it with a good friend of mine, and what's the word? Sometimes podcast co-host Terrence, my buddy Terrence here in California. He's been on the Eternal Night with me and Craig on a couple episodes. We've been trying to get him back, but I'm just like, you need to get a fucking microphone. Like you do need to get a fucking microphone, dude, because there have been some times where I'm just like, yeah, I can kind of hear you, but you're cutting in and out because he's got like AirPods and he's just speaking through the microphone, like the mic in the laptop, and I'm like, come on, dude. Like,
yeah, that definitely makes it that could definitely make it a little challenging for a back and forth on, especially on topics like that. So
yeah, but I think since we've now reached the 2-hour mark, I feel like this is a good spot to end it for the day. Sean, thank you again for joining me in this, Two Nerds showcase of, the 4Nerds.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, hey, anytime.
And just to get everyone else's ats out the way, feel free to follow everyone as such on their respective socials. Dawson M132 on Twitter, DJ32 Art everywhere else, Zeeverfett Ryan, and on Instagram and YouTube and X, Andre Nickatina Show, of course, on YouTube, X, Instagram, wherever, and of course me at Unfiltered Threads, Vero, Instagram, not X, basically. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know. I'm pretty sure his TeePublic link is working now. But
it is. Yes, it is. It is confirmed working. Yep. So yeah, make sure you check out his stuff. He's got some pretty cool shirts out there.
And then feel free to give Dawson's DJWArt.com a look as well. And then also just bear in mind, guys, DC Studios. This is the face of DC Studios. This is what we're getting with new Superman, right? Right.
That's a great way to wrap that up.
I try. And I mean that with, love.
Yeah, absolutely. No one should take that as disrespectful. I mean, we again, Phil and I fully accept that this is where the universe is at. This is who's leading it. So it is what it is.
I like James Gunn more than Peter Safran. I think that's where all in that.
I'll join you on that take. Absolutely.
But with that said, I think this is where we are signing off for the evening.
All right, guys.
Take care, everyone. Have a good night.